Hello and welcome to another episode of Grow Little Wildflower. Today I have the gorgeous Teresa Palmer and Sarah Wright Olsen joining me.
Whoop whoop.
Hi.
Hey.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I just want to introduce you first. So they are actors, authors, wellness advocates, and the soulful and hilarious besties who host the Mother Days podcast, where I was lucky enough to go on as well to talk baby names.
Yeah.
And that's where they dive into the wild ride of motherhood, spirituality, and everything in between. Teresa and Sarah are real life soul sisters, ultimate besties, and co-founders of Zen Mama, and mamas to beautiful growing families, with both of them currently expecting, which is so cool.
Yeah.
So before we dive in, I would love you all, I know your babies' names, but I would love you to share your babies' names and a little bit about what inspired your name choices.
Sure.
Either of you,
I
really.
feel like I've been on theme the whole time. They're all like
You have.
so, intermixable, interchangeable, like first name and middle name.
Yeah.
My firstborn son is Bodhi Rain. And I was always obsessed with the name Bodhi. I love the meaning.
Yeah.
So derived from the name Bodhisattva, where Buddha went under the Bodhi tree and became enlightened. And it's got really deep spiritual roots, that name. And at the time, 11 years ago, there was hardly any Bodhis around. I had heard the name maybe once or twice before. And more, I'm noticing that it's suddenly becoming quite a popular choice. I think it's not too dissimilar to River. When we first heard River, it was like one or two people. And then suddenly River's like in the top 20 or
It's
whatever
so funny
it is.
because we had River on. I loved River, but my husband was like, that's too out there. This is 14, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And then also we had Bodhi on our list for our boy, who is 11, so similar age as your Bodhi. And also back then it was pretty different.
It was really different. And I remember when I gave birth, the media was like, whoa, listen to this name. It's crazy. And then
Feel like that with all of your names. We're all like waiting in anticipation, like, what's the name going to be?
It's so funny because now every 10th child is a Bodhi. I'm like, oh, there's another Bodhi and there's another Bodhi. But it's Bodhi.
Yes.
Bodhi Rain. And then also Sarah and I were talking about this earlier. We both really like gender neutral names.
Yeah.
And so then I love if anyone's listening, can someone please use my son's name for a girl? Because
I was just going to say
with this.
Bodhi for
Forest or Bodhi for a girl.
Bodhi for a girl.
We have a friend who's got a girl Bodhi.
But
I'm obsessed with the name Forest. My son is Forest, Forest, but Forest for a girl is so cool.
She's really cool.
She is so cool. I hope someone listening is like, oh my God, that's a great idea. Forest for
Someone
a girl.
listening will be like, that's what I was thinking, but is it too out there? That's what they'll be thinking.
Yeah, and then soon Forest will end up being, like one in every 20 girls is called Forest. So my next child is Forest Sage, and that's a little boy. And I've always loved the name Sage as well. I thought that maybe I'd use that. Yeah, I thought I'd use that as a first name. And it's funny, like I often laugh, like I use some of my most favorite names as middle names. Like Rain, I'm obsessed with for a boy or a girl. Sage, I'm obsessed with for a boy or a girl. And I kind of got into this rhythm of doing 2 syllables.
I noticed your rhythm.
And then 1 syllable for the second. So like Bodhi, Rain, Forest, Sage. And then my next child is Poet Lake. So that's like 2 syllables, 1 syllable. Yeah, and I feel like that might be the star name in the family. When people are like, of all your names, like Poet Lake, like that is so
Whenever I hear you say Poet, like whenever you're like on your stories.
Yeah. I see that you've got Poet in so many of your lists now, and I'm like, okay, people must like the name.
They really love it. They really
Poet
love
or
it.
poem. Poem's really pretty too.
Poem. I shared Poeta, which was
I
just
like poetry. That's cute. But I think poet and poem sound really pretty. They just sound
mm,
really gorgeous. And
mm.
then again, I chose another name that I love, Lake. And I think Lake for a boy or a girl. But Poet Lake is again 2 syllables. And then the next one. And then I think the other one that
This is the other star.
yeah, this is
I
the
think
other
they're all
style.
stars.
It's like when people say like their favorite now. I think maybe I got more adventurous as I went along, or I just felt like I could be more adventurous with the girls' names. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. But also because years have passed and now Bodhi's become quite popular. So it's not quite as rare these
Yeah, so
days.
back
Whereas
then it was adventurous.
it was
Bodhi Vane and
adventurous.
Forest Sage is adventurous for when they were
Yeah.
born. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and now Prairie Moon, again the same syllables.
No, I was kind of getting stuck on that when I was thinking of names. I'm like, wait, is she going to go like completely wild and just throw us? Or
I know. Well, it's yeah, it's so cool. And that name Prairie, oh
love
my
Prairie?
god, I'm obsessed with it. Do you know where I got the name from? Was I used to watch this TV show, everyone knows the TV show, Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah.
With my nana, my beloved nana, and
Oh.
she was one of the most important, like prolific people in my life. We had a
What
really
was her
deep.
name?
Her name was Dora Sanders.
I know
Like,
she's the cutest thing.
yeah, so gorgeous. She had 8 kids, and anyway, we were very close, and that was our show together. So I'd
Oh,
come over to her house and I'd sit with her in her chair and we'd watch Little House on the Prairie.
no way. That's
And
so
so
cute.
I heard that name all the way back then, and I just pictured little girls with plaits and daisies in their hair, and I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah.
oh, it's so feminine. Maybe for me, it feels much more femme. I don't
Yes.
know if I would use it for a boy, but maybe. And then I watched a TV show called The OA, and the OA has the lead girl in that, played by Britt Marling. So I'll say that again. Played by Britt Marling, is her character's name is Prairie.
Oh,
My husband and I loved that show, and we were like, that is the best name ever. And then Prairie Moon. Moon, we've always loved, not as a first name, but as a middle name. And we also had a pattern of like, if you think about my kids, it's Bo, B-O, Fo for forest, F-O, Po for poet, P-O. And
Oh,
then we were like, well, Prairie's P-R, there's no O. So then we thought, oh, well, Moon has 2 O's. So we'll just steal an O from Moon. And then we've kind of
and
got
now they all
a
link.
pattern that now they all link, and we'll see if this next baby does or not. But yeah, so they're my names, and I love it. I love naming babies, and I love
When I
helping
put
people
up,
name their babies.
whenever I share, when so a couple of things. Whenever I share name lists that are like totally your style, people will always come. Do you see them tag? They're like, "This is
Yes.
totally Teresa." I'm like, I
Yes.
know it's Teresa.
I know, I do. I'll see the comments, and they're like, "Oh, Teresa Palmer would love this one."
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I know she would.
Oh my gosh, yeah. What do you call that? I think I asked you this on our podcast. Like, what is that style? Do you have a name for it?
I kind of feel, well, it's obviously very, inspired by nature, boho,
Whimsical.
yeah, whimsy,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like free spirited, carefree, like go with the flow, but like also, not like over the top main character, but like I'm gonna stand out from the crowd. That kind of,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I love that. Also, you
yeah.
just said a name that I love, which I hope people use. This name is Whimsy. I love that name. It's so cool.
Mhm.
Oh,
Such a good
whimsy
name.
is so cute. Yeah,
Sarah, your turn.
give it to us.
um okay, so I have my oldest is Wyatt, and I named him Wyatt Oliver.
I love this.
And what's funny is that I actually wanted to name him Story before he was born. It was like if it was going to be a boy, we were going to name him Story, and if it was going to be a girl, we were going to name her Esme. And we loved the short story by J.D. Salinger for Esme with Love and Squalor. So that's where Esme came from. But then when I was pregnant with Wyatt, I started to feel like the name Story wasn't right for him. Like, and it was sort of when I was around like 20 something weeks and I started to feel him kick. Like, I don't know. I just felt like he kicked me all the time in the ribs in the same exact place. And I was like, he feels like so strong. And like, it was
Yeah.
just like a different energy that I was getting from him. It was like, you know, very like active and vivacious. And like, I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm not feeling Story like I was. And I'd been in love with the name for so long that, and so did my husband, that it was hard to like start to let it go.
Mm.
But then I'd heard the name Wyatt from a friend, and I, of course, I'm from the South, so like Wyatt Earp was like a, you know, a name there that was like a big name. And so I was just like, you know what? I feel like Wyatt. I feel like I like this name Wyatt. And then Oliver, I just loved the middle name Oliver. I just thought it was so sweet. And
classic.
Yeah.
And I go back and forth between like, I love old names, but I also really love like whimsy, nature driven. Like I have like this combo of both, you know.
Mhm.
But see,
So
Oliver is linked to the olive tree, which is
yeah,
all about peace and
exactly.
so it feels like it slightly is, you know, part of that style as
Yes.
well.
Well, that's also why I named our daughter, her middle name Olivia, because it was like the female version of Oliver.
Yeah.
And so both of them had like a similar rooted meaning to it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so so Esme Olivia was next, and we just like knew that was her name way before we had her. Like
Really,
it
yeah.
was just, yeah, it was like, if we ever have a girl, her name is Esme. Like
Yeah.
that is just it. It was just like this strong.
And then when you were pregnant, you still felt the Esme energy.
Totally.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
nothing else.
Yeah,
Like
there's
it
no
just
other
didn't,
name.
literally no other name. And
Yeah.
when she came
We were
out, she
calling
was
her
Esme
that in the belly.
forever. Like
Yeah,
way
we were
before I
like-
was pregnant.
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, it's
They're like,
Esme.
no one take my name because no matter what, I'm using it anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly. I just loved that the character in the book was like such just like strong, outgoing, confident little girl, you know? And so anyway, so I just really felt like that was her. And then, you know, I don't think that we like had decided we were having a third child. We just like, you know, I kept talking about how I really wanted number 3, and my husband was like, okay, you know, and then finally he came on board with it. And then we had this little chalkboard where we wrote some names on. And we had like, you know, 6 names or something, combinations. And Winter's Story was on there. And it was like pulling in the story, which I loved. But Winter, I don't know. It just like kind of came to me. There was a lot of girl names that I really liked. Like one of my favorites was Clover June.
I still feel like one day you might have your Clover.
Yeah, right? Clover is just such a sweet name. And
I'll totally go with your subset too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was on there. I had like Meadow Rain. I had, you know, there was like a quite a few, but Winter's Story just like really kept coming to me. Like that
And
was
it's so funny that you circled back to Story. Like you knew, it felt like, feels like you had this, you knew Story was coming at some point, was going to be part of your family, but just not quiet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, so then Winter, I remember throwing out the name at like a dinner thing with a bunch of friends, and they were all just like, oh my gosh, Winter Story is such a cool name, you know?
Yeah.
And so why Oliver, Esme, Olivia, and Winter Story? It's funny. They're not like Teresa's, where it's like a perfectly succinct, you know, pattern.
But I feel like it's such a nice thing to see too, because some people will get caught up in this like theme that they have to stick to it, and you don't have to. You can go wild, and it doesn't, you know, as long as it feels like them.
My next baby is going to be Barry. Bazza.
You could totally pull it.
Barry. I'll just throw that up. Barry, yeah, Gordon. I'm going with Gordon.
Watch this go out and everyone say that she's just given away her baby.
Oh my God, she's gonna call it
and
Barry.
it could be Barry for a girl or a boy. Like it doesn't matter.
I could go Sonia. We could name I mean, I'm trying to think of them. What Tracy? Because you could.
Stephanie.
I could Stephanie. I could go really wild. People are expecting something from me, and then I just go totally like.
Oh my God, are you
normal.
naming your baby after me? Sarah? What?
Sarah.
Did you?
Sarah, Jessica.
Sarah and Michelle, like the total 80s names.
Michelle.
I always wanted to be Paige or like Taylor.
That is the best name. I wanted to be that too. When I was younger.
I was like, oh, why didn't you name me something cool like Taylor or like?
Is that from the Babysitters
Paige.
Club? Where do I know Paige from? It's like some American teen. Because I remember being like, I want to be Paige.
I know. I was like, can you change my name? I was like so sassy with my parents, and they were like, no. Like, what?
I really didn't like.
Are you okay?
Didn't you?
Teresa Mary. Yeah, I was like, come on, that's not me.
It's so Catholic.
It's so Catholic. I was named after Mother Mary and Mother Teresa.
Yeah,
I was like double.
So
Mine was like
growing up,
very
were you
Christian.
always Teresa? Were you Teresa or
yeah, well, I tried to make it cooler in high school, and I was like, call me Tez. Tezza. And so it was like Tez became this name. Actually, the cool girl at school, she was the one that was like, I think you should be known as Tez. And I was like, I am Tez. I am Tez forever.
That's who I am.
That's who I am.
No one has said I am Tez.
I'm Tez. But by the way, it has stuck. People
Yeah, it kind of has stuck.
Everyone, like so many people call me Tez and Tezza.
Yeah.
I get TP all the time, toilet paper. No, Teresa Palmer, TP. I'm always like,
or the Americans will call you Teresa.
Teresa.
Like,
Teresa.
Teresa.
Sarah is one of the only people that says my name normal as an American because like Americans will be like, Teresa. And she calls me with a Z, like it's
Teresa.
It
Yeah, I say it with a Z, like Teresa.
Because that's how we say it in Australia.
Yeah.
It's like how Isaac is Isaac in Australia.
I was going to ask you this.
But in America, it's Isaac.
Know this.
Isaac.
And sometimes I'll share like, say the names. I haven't done it for a while. I need to do it. And it's just purely because, you know, when you hear a name out loud, it like hits differently.
Yeah.
And so I said some names and I'm sure I said Isaac. And they're like, it's Isaac. I'm like,
Isaac.
What?
And
like,
also
I just never knew that.
Megan
and I was wondering
in America.
Yes.
Not Megan. We say Megan here, Sarah. You know how we have a mutual friend called Megan, but you're like, you always call her Megan?
Yeah,
like, Megan, oh my God, it's Megan, not Megan. I know.
That's
so funny.
There's actually so many names that are different, like Clara.
Yeah.
Oh,
but would you say Clara?
Yeah.
Clara.
But I would ask because I know Clara's, I know Lara, and Lara. I know like.
Oh, you're right.
You know, and so I would ask like what's.
Yeah.
You know, I've met like a woman from Colombia whose name is Clara, whereas in America, if I saw that, I would be like Clara.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. It's like us. We very like. I guess we're very lazy with like our R's. So like Taylor, we just say Taylor. We don't say Taylor.
Like Taylor.
Yeah. That's like really hard for me to say. But like, so when I remember I did this comparison once and it was like, do you like Taylor, like O-R or T-A-Y-L-A-H? And it's like, to me, they're the same thing. But
it's pronounced the same to us.
Yeah, it's the same.
I really, really love the name Petal. I have just loved it forever, Petal. But in American, they would say pedal. And it sounded like a pedal, like a bike pedal.
Yeah.
So, and Mark couldn't get that out of his head. He's like, pedal. It's like I'm pedaling. And I'm like, yes, damn it. Petal. In Australia, we say petal.
Yeah.
We pronounce the T.
So we're not lazy and all about.
Yeah, petal. But then they say pedal. So, anyway, he ixnayed that. That was one of my top
names.
Prairie, Poet, and Petal.
I wondered if you'd do another P name.
I know. It would have been Petal. Actually, my favorite P name back in the day, I really wanted Posy. I think
so
that is
cute.
The best
I love that
name. Oh, that's a good one, Sarah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
If you have a girl, that'd be really cool.
Posy. I love that name so much.
I love that name. But I have a girlfriend who's got a very good girlfriend who's got a Posy. So I'd never be able to have a Posy.
Yeah.
That is a dream name, and it's got the O as the second letter as well. I'm like,
And yeah, I know. I
cozy.
really like cozy, but
I love
actually, this
it.
leads me into my something I've wanted to ask. And one thing that I love about you girls is that you actually are really open with talking about names that you love, names that sharing like stories of like names that have come to you in your dreams, the uncertainty of different names, and I guess you're not like ones to kind of gatekeep your name ideas. And I think sometimes we kind of like get stuck in this, like, we can't let anyone know. And I have messages from parents all the time. And I think that's half the reason they come to me, because they just want to share their name ideas. And, a lot of the names that you guys like aren't like the top, names that just are the names that everyone knows and is used to. And so it's just really nice to kind of hear names that you love, whether you're going to use them or not. And it kind of just gives parents the ability to just say, it's okay. Like, whatever name we choose, it's okay. It's okay if you talk about it, whether you're going to choose it in the end or not. And one thing that people love seeing is names that you love, but you aren't going to use for whatever reason, whether you like, your partner doesn't like them, or whether someone that's close to you has used it. So I was going to ask you girls if there was some names that you really love, but you actually just can't use for whatever reason. Because I feel like these will be on people's lists.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I thought it would be funny to tell you that we have some grandmothers in the family, and when I was trying to decide about names throughout the years, I was like asking what the grandmothers' names were, and Eric's like 90% Norwegian or something, and so his grandmothers are like Borghild and Thelma. And
Thelma's cute.
But then I was like,
It's actually really cute.
So cute. I was like, tell me their middle names. And so one of them has a middle name of Amelia and the other one is Violet. And I was like, oh, wow. I feel like that's really out there for, for that time.
Generation.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh,
I could see you with a Violet, actually.
Totally.
Wyatt.
And I was like,
Wyatt.
Do you know what? That would actually fit in really well in your family. Because it's like, can be traditional, but it also can be kind of whimsy. So it would sort of like blend the two styles together.
It's so cute. I totally think it's so cute. And I've always loved like, pulling from nature with, like different name ideas. One of my favorites when we had like our initial list was Indiana June. I loved that name.
Oh my God.
And everybody was like, oh, you mean like Indiana Jones? I was like, no, Indiana.
We're past that. We're way past
that. Like, what? No. Indiana is such a cute name. And I met a little girl named Indiana, and she was so adorable. And she was like freckles and blonde hair. And like, she was so cute. And I was like, oh, Indiana is such a cool name. You call the girl Indy, Indy June. And so we didn't end up using that name. We had a friend who named their kid Indy. And that did not work for us. But other names I've loved have been Margot. I think that name is so awesome. I love the name Imogene. And
Imogene.
Yes. Like, wait, how are we spelling this?
How do you spell that?
I know. So in the South, I think, how would you pronounce it? You pronounce it Imogen?
Imogen.
Yeah.
Is it just G-E-N at the end?
G-E-N-E.
G-E-N.
G-E-N-E.
on the end.
I would pronounce that Imogene. I would.
Yeah.
So would I.
Imogene.
So would I.
Okay.
Imogene.
Imogene. Yeah. So I love the name Imogene. I think it's
Do you know the nickname I love for Imogen or Imogene?
What?
Mimi.
Mimi. That's cute.
It's like a little left of field.
Yeah. I love the way it looks too. There's something about like the way a name looks on paper. Like I'll write it down and I'm like, that's not really my jam. But then like, Imogene I think is so cute on paper, and it just sounds like fun. It's fun to say. I love the name Birdie, and it was not my husband's favorite name, but I love it. And then of course I said Clover and Indigo. Indigo is
my God. You know that Indigo was Birdie's. If Birdie was a girl, I'd have an Indigo.
Right. I was
But you know what's so weird? You posted, my friend Kate, the girl that I keep saying, who's like obsessed with baby names, sent me the name you posted the other day, and it was Indigo Sky, and that was Bodhi. Bodhi was Indigo
That's
Sky.
right.
One of
the
the
girl.
mums that has had her baby in March. Yes. Did you see her other
Indigo
baby
Sky.
names? Did you see
No,
the other name?
but Indigo Sky, it was either Indigo Sky if it was a girl, or it was Bodhi Rain if it was a boy. So,
yeah, that was
and then someone named someone in our friendship group named their kid Indigo, like after we had Bodhi, and so Indigo had to go off the list.
Yeah, it's so funny because we had for my middle child, who was the one that I liked Bodhi for, but then my sister had a Bo, so I just scrapped the name. The other name that we had for if he was a girl was Indigo.
Cute.
Or Aria. So it was like the same time when you were thinking of Bodhi, we were thinking of
Indigo.
And that was way different back then. Like
it was so different. No one had that
my
name.
husband liked Indy, and I was like, I like Indy, and I think it's really cool, but Indigo is the name that I
Indigo, same. I don't know if I like Indy, like the short, as much as Indigo. It's such
Indigo.
a sound.
Indigo
It
is so
looks
good.
cool on paper, and it sounds so cool.
She is so cool. I really like Indigo.
I
just
want to
read out the other names because I feel like you'll love the siblings of Indigo Sky.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, what is
Arlo Ocean, Louis Dusky, and River Poppy.
Oh my God, my dog's name is Dusky.
I love the name Dusky.
Halo is so cute.
Halo is so cute. I've just suggested that to a friend of mine.
You did?
I've got Dusk on my list, or Dusk, but then we ended up picking it for my dog, Dusk. So our dog's called Dusk or Dusky.
Yeah, I love Dusk.
Cute.
I have so many. Oh my God, I've written them all
Actually,
down.
someone sent me a name the other day. They were siblings, and the names were Eclipse and Dusky. I'm pretty sure from memory.
Really?
I'm just trying to
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've got a friend who named her daughter Echo, and it's so cool.
So cool.
I'm pretty sure I recently just shared the name Echo.
It's so cool.
I did. Echo Wilder.
Oh,
cute.
That's cute.
Echo
I know
is
a
so
Wilder.
cool.
Have you guys seen my
so
fairy
nice.
forest inspired names?
Yes, they're so good. I love
they're
those.
totally you guys too.
I met a little girl once named Bluesy LaRue.
Oh my God, I remember when you met her.
Can you even handle that?
Excuse me, that is the best name, Bluesy LaRue.
Come on, it is like the
any
coolest.
better?
Yeah, whenever I think of these really wild kind of names, I'm like, I wish I could meet someone with these names.
I know. I just picture
what is she doing?
Yeah. I know. Well, she also has the best style too. You know, she's like a little girl with the best style. But I really, really feel like there's so much about your name that shapes you and who you are, what kind of person that you are.
100%. I just spoke to a lady on my podcast who talks about soul contracts, and that your name is chosen for you well before you were born, and your baby will send you messages. So it's really interesting when you were talking about Wyatt and the kicks, because that's your baby sending you little messages of this is who I am well before you meet them. Yeah. So the path is already kind of set. It's just up to us to be open to the signs and open to the possibilities, and not be so stuck in we have to follow this theme, with you with Prairie going to the a little bit different to what you had with your O. Yeah. The O. Or even now going 2-syllable one, do I have to go? You don't have to. You can actually just listen to what's being sent to you.
I know. I have my two top runners for this baby.
Yeah.
One of them follows the pattern 2 syllables one, and then one is just a bit wild. It's a bit out there. And it doesn't fit the syllables at all. And I'm like, ooh,
but that's also part I feel we are waiting for that name announcement, because we know it's probably just gonna be something a little wild, and that's kind of part of the fun.
Funny. Yeah. I read my DMs sometimes, and I've had so many people be like, we're so excited about the name. What's the name going to be? What's the name going to be? I'm like, oh my God, I have pressure. Yeah. The name's going to be
I'm surprised no one's done there's a lot of namers that are my friends who do the celebrity name guessing. I'm surprised. I don't want to do it because I already know your style. So I'm not going to go there. Someone else can.
Well, Sarah mentioned before, which is because we actually have had, because Winter was on my baby name list forever. I would always talk about having a baby called Winter.
And wasn't Story a name that you loved?
Yeah.
Well, that was always Sarah's name that she loved, but then I started really loving it.
Yeah.
When I after I heard it, I was like, oh my God. I actually considered it for this baby, and then we ended up going in a different direction. But Winter, I have like a trust account that has the name Winter in it because I could never get Mark over the line with Winter 100%. Like it was always like, I loved it so much. And it was years ago when I heard it, Bodhi was a baby and it was a little boy called Winter. And his mum was calling him over. We were at a little preschool and his mum was calling him over and saying, Winty, Winty. And I was like, excuse me, what are you saying? And then she was like, Winty. And I was like, what is his name? And she was like, his name's Winter. And I was like, like just, it was so cool. And I remember when Sarah first said she was going to have it, she was like, you know what the name Wyatt really likes for a boy is Winter. And I was like, really?
What?
I was like, oh my God. And then I was saying to Sarah about this little boy that I met called Winter. And then I remember Sarah being like, actually, we like it for either. Like,
do you talk to your kids about, like, does your kids come up with names? Yeah.
Yes, you just said the name Amelia, which is so funny. My son Forrest says that he's going to have a future daughter called Amelia.
Get out.
That is his baby name for his future girl is Amelia.
My kids also have names for their future kids.
Do you know Bodhi does too? And two of them are potential names that we were going to name this baby. And so he's like, I cannot believe you're going to steal my baby name. And I was like, excuse me, Bodhi. Like, I definitely told you about that baby name first.
Yeah.
I've written all their baby names. Each of them have baby names that they love. Bodhi loves the name Storm. We love that name. We love it. He loves it so much. And then
that'd be a good middle name for you. Because it
actually would be.
Let's just say it's on the list. It's on the list.
You might be stealing your son's name, so
I know. It's so funny. They had really I just always giggled at Amelia. I don't know why, because he had like Sunshine and things, names like that.
But I feel like Amelia and then Amelia Storm.
Yeah.
He's already famous.
But then, but Forrest, it was so random. He had like the most like nature names, and then just Amelia. I was like, oh, where'd you hear that name from? Where'd you get Amelia from? And he was like, I just love that name. I was like, fantastic.
Well, my boys are fighting over the names I didn't use. So Indigo and Oceana are my two names that were. So Oceana was the girl name. While she was in my belly, my boys called her Oceana. So they were a little bit annoyed when she came out and we presented her as Aria. They're like, wait, we named her Oceana. And then
oh my God,
the other name was Indigo. So they're both like now like choosing out of those two names. I'm like, oh, whoever gets
that is so cute.
I really liked the name Reverie. This was on the list. This was on the list for this.
It doesn't follow your theme, but it's on the list.
Well, it kind of does though, because if you think of the meaning,
it follows that, but not the like 2 syllables.
Oh yeah, not the syllables, but otherwise, the actual kind of name, and
it means like, daydream.
Yeah, it's like in dreaming, like in a state of reverie, to like be thinking about something beautiful.
I wrote down a combination with reverie.
Oh, I know the one because
I know a different combination.
Oh, it's a different one. Oh,
I haven't told you this combination. Oh, there's another one, but I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, because that one, when I first told you I was pregnant, I was like, I'm thinking reverie, blah blah, and then
I'm not going to say that one.
I love that.
I'm not going to say that one out loud.
Yeah, and then we went off the name. This is why I went off the name. I didn't want the name. I didn't want the nickname Revs. I just didn't feel like that fit in our family, like Revs. So I was like,
I think with Revy.
Revy's cute, but I still was like, does Revy fit in with prairie and poet? And having a long first name, I feel like there's more of a tendency to shorten the name. So Mark was like obsessed. He started taking photos of the name all around.
Of Reverie.
And he loves like the meaning of it. Yeah. And then I was the one that was like, I think that's a bye-bye for me.
Well, I thought Reverie meant the same thing as revelry, which means lively, noisy festivities, especially when involving drinking large amounts of alcohol. So I just looked it up.
You're like, that's not.
Okay, like we can do it. We can make it work.
Or you know when someone like when you were at camp and then over the loudspeaker like da, 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 and I was like that's the revelry or whatever waking up reverie.
Oh my god, that's
Do
hilarious.
you know what I mean?
I'm trying to look at more on my list here that I love that I will never use.
I thought of a name and I don't know if you've thought of this name, but I really love Maple.
Yeah,
I love that name. It's so cute. I met a little maple the other day.
Maple.
Yeah, I've got it down here. I've got. Do you know what's really cool? Like as a two name, Roomy River. I think Roomy River.
I love Roomy. You know the Roomy and Bodhi feel like they just have like a connection.
My friend, Maple.
Cute. I can't.
My friend had a little boy a year ago called Ocean. But he was Roomy Ocean for the longest time. And then she ended up swapping it to Ocean Roomy because she wanted Roomy so badly. But then when the baby came out, she was like, no, it's more Ocean Roomy, but wanted Roomy in there. And then she told me about, instead of Roomy, Lumi. Lumi's like for luminescent, like Lumi, Lumi. And I was like, that's a really cute. Lumi's really cute.
Lumi is really cute.
I've always wanted Lark in there somehow. Like
I do like Lark.
Like the bird Lark. But then I was like, Lark and Mark? I don't think so.
No.
Have you ever thought of the name Zephyr?
No.
No.
You don't like Zephyr? I feel like Zephyr for a girl.
Zephyr's cool if you're like sort of in the Ziggy Zephyr banjo, like that. What? I don't know what that style is, but I have a friend who's that kind of style where it's not
kind of
quite
edgy.
as whimsical. It's a bit more edgy, like
it's a bit more edgy over whimsy. But then
that's right,
like breezy,
kind of cool.
Yeah.
There's a name I heard years ago when I was shooting a Discovery of Witches, which I wrote down, which is still again this more kind of cool vibe, maybe a little less like forest, earthy, fairy. And it's for a girl, Orla Brave, which I thought was so cool.
Wait, what's the first one?
Orla.
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 Yeah.
Orla Brave.
It means this is off the top of my head, but I think it means golden, the golden one.
Orla.
I think. This is just off the top of my head, yeah.
Orla.
But I really love Brave for a middle name.
Brave is a great middle name.
Brave.
I would suit you too because that's the one syllable.
Brave. I know, but then I feel like brave doesn't suit like rain, lake. You know what I mean? And
also you've got all four, like your rain, sage, lake and moon. They're all four letters.
Earth. They're all four letters and they're just all kind of earthy. This other name that I have really wanted, but I think it might even be too out there for me, and that's saying something, is I'm obsessed with this name. Can someone please name their daughter this? Is Velvet. Little Velvet.
Velvet.
I love that
Velvet.
name too.
I think it's
I've
so
shared it before.
Cute.
It gets mixed responses. It gets mixed responses when I share it.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Because I'm like, well, if we can do like Violet, why can't we do Velvet? I don't know.
Yeah. Cove
Velvet,
is a great middle name. Cove.
Which one?
Cove. I was going to say, what about Cove?
Yeah. Cove is
a really cool middle name.
If Aria was a boy, we were going to go with Cove for the first name. And we were going to circle back to Bodhi because Kai was so long that the cousin Bo is a first name. And then I was like, Cove Bodhi would actually work really well. But then we also liked Cove Ocean as another name. So yeah, but Cove and Indigo, they were the names that got away.
Banksy is another one I'm hearing a lot of.
Indigo's dope. Banksy, yeah.
Yeah,
Banksy's
or
Well,
Banksy,
I've
yeah.
just shared Banksy, and it's been, I don't know, whenever my reels go like viral, they end up on Reddit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like bad vibes that come from that.
Really?
And Banksy was like, they were like, no, why would you use
What?
Banksy?
Why? Why not?
Because of the street
I don't know
artist?
what's wrong with Banksy, but supposedly it's too made up. And I'm like, well, every name was made up at one point.
Hilary Duff has a Banksy or a
I know, I
Banks,
love
maybe.
that.
It's really
Banks,
cute.
I'm pretty sure she has a Banks, but she calls it Banksy. But Banksia is a tree.
Banksy is Australian, isn't it?
Yes.
An Australian.
And so Banksy, it just feels, I don't know, it doesn't feel too out there for me. It feels.
No,
I
it's so
remember a
good.
baby name back in the day in my mummy's group, which I always thought was so cute. And one of our best friends, actually, he's going to be, oh no, he might not be listening. I'll have to get him to listen. I keep thinking we're on the Mother Days, by the way. Our number one Mother Days podcast fan is like Mark's best friend, Tim Dowland, who listens to every one of our episodes. And Sarah, he just said this week that his head's itchy because he listened to our episode
we had a
on
whole
lice. He
lice
was
episode.
like,
Sorry, guys.
But yeah, anyway, his daughter is Tallulah.
I
love that.
Love that name so much. And I remember hearing it in my mummy and me group with Bodhi, and the little girl's name was Tallulah Wren. And I'm like, I need
Wren's another
Wren.
name that you could use.
Yeah, I was like, I need Wren somewhere as a middle name. Like, it's
a middle name
pretty.
Wren. Tallulah means leaping waters, so that is a very naturey.
It's such a good name. And
Tully, Lulu.
Tallulah's mum, Tim's wife, her name's Tally. So it's Tally and Tallulah, which is so cute.
You know the other name I really love? Tiger Lily.
From Peter Pan?
I just love it.
I
feels...
love it only because I'm thinking of Tiger. Remember that famous?
I feel like the girl from Peter
Paula
Pan
Yates?
was named Tiger Lily, right? The one that the little.
Yeah, Tiger Lily is the famous daughter of
Tiger Lily. I know. For me, when there is like such a famous person with such a unique name,
I
can't.
That's the association.
Yeah, so my associate, it's so funny because like I never had Peaches on my name list.
Yeah.
Like that falls, I think, slightly into that cool bracket, which is so cool. Like what we were saying before, kind of the banjos, the Zephyrs, the Ziggies, and my friend named her daughter Peaches. But the reason I could never get into Peaches for myself was because I always thought of Peaches Geldof.
That's where isn't Tallulah the sister?
I think Tiger Lily.
Oh, Tiger Lily, isn't it?
The sister of Peaches Geldof, I think
so. It is.
And then
that's where it is.
And just because that family was so famous, I always just think of that name and I think of that person.
You know who I think of with Tallulah? You know, Tallulah, Ruma, and Scout Willis.
They're our friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're our friends. Ruma's such a good name.
Such a good name.
Ruma Glenn is her name.
Yeah, and I know I would love to get her on the podcast too.
Yeah, we'll tell her.
She follows me, so she might listen.
Her daughter has a cool name.
But I remember when I was really young and I heard their names and I was just like, man, these are cool names. Like, look at them go.
They're really cool. They're really cool names.
Yeah. And they don't follow any kind of like, they just feel like they go.
They fit that family. Yeah. I feel like my friend who had Peaches, and now I love the name because I just associate it now with the little girl Peaches, not this other person.
Yeah.
But she uses Peachy as a cute little nickname, which I think is really cute. Her other baby name that she loved for Peaches was Ruma, which is so funny.
Oh, wow.
So it's that same kind of cool vibe. What is it? I want to know the name for that. Like it's the Ziggy. It's that my friend Cherie.
Call it kind of edgy. Like I just think it's a little edgy. It's a little like left of field, but like
Halo would be in there. Maybe. Yeah. One of my friends named her kid Hero, like my friend's friend, which is like kind of a cool boy. Yeah.
Hiro.
Hero, like Hero.
Yeah.
How would you pronounce that in America? Hero.
Hero.
Hero. Yeah.
Hero.
There's some names that I think sound so cool in other accents, but in American accent, sometimes it's like I've always loved the name Sawyer. I think it's so beautiful.
That is
I
so
love that
you,
name.
that name.
I know. I love Sawyer, but I also struggle. I feel like I sound funny sometimes when I say it. I'm like Sawyer.
See, I just say Sawyer.
Pretty. Sawyer. Yeah, it's like soya sauce.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
the way
but I
that
do
you
like the
say
name
it,
Sawyer, but I don't
it's
say
so
it
pretty.
pronounced. Yeah.
Sarah says it's so pretty.
I know.
Sawyer.
It's so funny. When I hear it, I'm like, I don't know. Like I love the name. I always,
It's really
I loved like, I love names from like old books and, like, I don't know.
Didn't you come
Yeah.
up with Sawyer for a girl? I feel like you
Mhm.
said Sawyer for a girl, and I was like, that is.
I
the
love
best
Sawyer
name.
for a girl. I think more
because
than
I love
met
it for a
little
girl. Oh my god!
So that happens to me as I meet everyone's kids, and I'm like, oh, I love that. I met a little girl named Roma too when I was before I
love
had
Rome.
kids. Roma. Her name was
Wait,
Roma. It
didn't
was
you
so
meet
cute.
a girl? Remember when we were doing that chocolate ceremony, the cacao ceremony, and you heard like Tova or something?
Oh, I loved that name. I fell
Yes.
so in love with that name. I
You
like,
did.
was obsessing over it for a while. I was like, oh, because I was not pregnant, and I was like, if I have a girl, maybe I'll name her Tova. And like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
remember
I
you
just
loved
got
it.
like so on it, and then it like really went away. And, like I was like,
a name that I've always loved is Alaska.
oh, yeah,
My
that's
god,
cute.
literally on my list.
No.
Do you know that Alaska? This is like a lol, but I always, from when I was a teenager, you can ask any of my teenage girlfriends, like Teresa's going to have a baby called Alaska Rose.
I can
That's
totally
so
see
That
you
was
with
gonna.
that.
It's in all of my journals. I go back and look at my journals. It was like my future daughter, Alaska Rose. Yeah,
I love
I know.
that name.
For me to say then, I was thinking, God, I love that name. I remember hearing it and I thought that is
It
the
just
coolest
looks
name.
pretty and
It looks
sounds
pretty.
so
It sounds pretty.
Alaska.
I love the names that have that like
Yeah.
like, it's such a I loved Sky for so long, like you did Sky.
I know.
On your list.
Sky. Yeah, I
was
love
so
Sky
good.
actually.
I love it
girl
for
or
a
boy, but I love
boy.
Sky for a boy.
I don't love it for a girl.
I love it for a boy.
I'm obsessed with it for a boy. Let's just say that's on the listy. It's
I met a boy
very
named
high up.
Ever. Ever was such a cute name.
yes.
And when
Yeah.
I read this book one time with this kid in the book, his name was Everett. And I was like, oh, it's such a cool name, Everett. But for some reason, the finality of the T on the end which is so funny, but for some reason, the ending of it was too harsh for me.
Yeah.
And so
I like
but
Eva and Evers.
yeah. And Everly,
Eva.
Everly is so cute. I was saying something to Eric the other day about like we were talking about different names, and my friend was she's having a girl, and so she was looking for like an old fashioned name. And I was like, oh, what about Elowin? Elowin is like a really
it's so
sweet.
pretty.
Yeah,
Elowin.
right? I was like, Elowin, and then there's like
Keep think this name Elowen
Everly.
keeps coming up a lot lately.
It's so
Elowin.
pretty.
Oh my gosh.
I think she's having a moment.
Okay,
Yeah.
these are a few ones that are not. If I had a different style,
Husband? Oh, no.
if my style was different, I love names like this, like Nell. I love Nell and Greta. How cute is like sisters
So
Greta
cute.
and
Totally
Nell?
see you with a Greta. Like you
Not me. Like me
like
in
a
a different
child
version of
from
my
you.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah, having a little Greta and Nell and
past
a little
life.
Heidi or something. Oh my god, so cute. I think that is
so cute.
Okay, so these are some of the other kind of cool names that I feel like I'm hearing in the edgy sort of like Stevie, Dylan for a girl, James for a girl.
Love James.
Suki. I feel like I'm hearing
So
a lot of
cute.
Suki. That's kind of in that cool vibe. And a couple of more whimsy ones. Autumn, obviously, I love. We've got a very good friend called Autumn, so we would never be able to use it. But I've also someone told me about Canyon, which is really kind of cool.
Canyon, yeah, that's cute.
Onion.
I think it's really cool. And then some of the other sort of edgier ones that I wrote down was hawk. I'm seeing hawk and fox.
Hawk.
Yeah.
Well, my mother's maiden name is Hawkins, and I was like, why did I not use Hawk? Like, why did I not do that? Anyway.
Rider. Yeah, totally.
I met an arrow. Arrow was a name.
Arrow. That's
Arrow.
in that like cool vibes too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Edgy cool, I call it. Edgy
yeah. Vespa is another name I had written down.
Vespa. I've never even heard of that.
And Saffron.
Oh, Saffron's on my list. That was in.
Yeah.
I reckon Saffy is a really cute nickname. Do you know the other name, which is very whimsy and so beautiful, and my friend Renee just named her daughter this, is Soleil. Soleil. I was considering that as a middle name.
That's tough for me as an American.
Is it?
Yeah. I can't.
Soleil.
It doesn't sound right to me. Soleil.
I had written down Reverie Soleil.
Reverie Soleil. Well, Soleil was always a middle name, but because a friend of mine just named her daughter that, I feel like it's dropped off my middle name list now. A lot of people are naming their son Soul.
I love Soul.
Yeah.
My friend just got a little Lennox Soul.
Yeah. And Atlas, remember Atlas back in the day, like when it was sort of like the Bodhi or Atlas?
Yes.
Or, you know, it was
it's like we're waiting for the data to come out, but it was like 120. Like it's very high up. It's going to go. I reckon it's going to hit top 100.
Really? Atlas now?
Yeah.
So that actually fell off my list because it got too popular.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, there's too many Atlases now. It's so funny. And it was so out there when we were naming like our firstborns.
Yeah. Well, I actually put this out to my community to ask them if they had any questions for you girls, because if you think about it, between us, we've actually got, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like 13 plus kids. So I feel like we're pretty qualified to answer some questions.
I think so.
So I was going to throw some at you guys and see if you could just off the top of your head help these ladies out who are struggling with the naming journey at the moment. So one of them was there's a boy joining Airly Rose, Ayla Sage, Tully Lou.
Oh, Tully's cool.
Yeah, and Leo Ocean, who is their angel baby. Oh. So this is a boy joining. And
Sailor. I'm obsessed with that name.
Yeah, so she's got 2 front runners. Oh. But I was just wondering what you guys would think of. Well,
I immediately went to Sailor because I'm obsessed and I want someone to use that name.
Yeah, so Ailey, Ayla, Tully, Leo.
Oh, Ayla and Sailor you can't have. Ailey. I like Lyric.
Yeah.
For a boy. Like Lyric for a boy is really interesting.
Yes.
That could go really well.
Leo is cute. I wonder, I like the name Luca. If you're like looking for another like L word to throw in there.
They actually really like the idea of perhaps putting Leo in the middle name to honor.
What about Banjo? I feel like Banjo would suit a little Airly.
Yes.
Banjo.
So they have on their top 2 names is Koa.
Oh, I love that name.
I know.
Koa.
And which one?
Hayes. Hayes.
Oh, Hayes.
Cute.
I know. And they liked Hayes Leo. I also like Koa Leo.
Koa Leo is really
cute.
Or either of those names are so
pretty.
Beautiful.
Oh. Actually, I feel like they're on the right.
Kai Leo is kind of beautiful too.
Kai's a really, and it's got a lovely meaning.
I know, that's the son's name.
Kai.
The one that I didn't use, Bodhi, he's a Kai.
Kai Leo. I like Kai Leo.
Yeah.
You like Kai Leo. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like Kai does flow, like Ailey, Ayla, Tully, Leo, Kai.
Tully. I'm obsessed. That's another one of those like edgy cool names, Tully.
Yeah.
It's like Suki. I think of Suki and Tully together.
I think so too. Okay, well, she'll be listening and maybe that will give her some food for thought.
Right. Or she could incorporate like Kai Ocean or Koa Ocean because that middle name, you said it was Leo Ocean?
Yes.
Is that the baby?
It was Leo Ocean, yeah.
Yeah. So they could always fold ocean in too.
Yes, I think so
Instead of-
too. But also Kai means the ocean. So if
Yeah,
she
that's
went
what I was gonna
Kai
say.
Leo,
Oh,
Kai
yes.
Leo.
maybe
yeah.
that's the name. And
That's
it's
what I was
actually
thinking,
like,
is that you could pull the meaning from the
yes.
angel baby's name. Pull the meaning and
that's
name the
But it's
first
still
name
they're still
Kai.
their own little person.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Aw,
This
poor.
one here is they've got a Thea and a Taj. My other son is Taj. I don't know why we're saying this. I didn't plan this.
Not a Taj. I thought you meant a Taj. I was like,
No,
what is a
Taj.
Taj?
Theo
I've
and
never heard
Taj.
So they've got
Okay.
Thea
Thea.
and Taj. So that's their two names at the moment. They've got a girl called Thea and a boy called Taj, and they've got a third coming. And they're wondering, do they go with another T name or do they go wild? And would there be any ideas? I say for your third, you can go wild and do whatever you want. You don't have to
It's
follow
like the third birth is always the wild birth. Is the wild.
I went wild with
the
my
wild
one. I
card.
went from a 1-syllable 3-letter name to a 3-syllable 4-letter name. So I just
I
went,
think I wouldn't worry about having T
Yeah.
and T.
no.
I wouldn't either. I would go wild. That's what I mean. I had a Y, Oliver, Esme, Olivia, and then I was like, well, I can't. Like, I could do Olive if I wanted to, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna
Winter
go
Olive.
with. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
off this train.
I think she could go wild.
Yeah, I think go different, like Taj, Thea, and Brooks or something.
Yes,
or,
I would literally had a B in my like. Was about to say like
Whoa.
Benny or like
cute.
Actually, Banks could work too.
Yeah,
Taj,
Banks. Yeah.
Thea, and Banks. That's really cute.
So cute. I had a B in my mind
Taj.
as well.
Yeah. Thea, Taj, Thea, and Woods. Or like
I
one
love
of
the
those.
name Woods.
Isn't that so cute?
That's really
Yes.
I know.
There was a boy who used to come over to my house and play his guitar, and his name was Woods Nash when I was a kid.
Excuse me.
That's
Get
really
out.
cool.
That's the cutest thing in the entire world.
So
Okay, so for her, we're thinking, and also I think because she's got the soft like TH and then the Taj, Thea Taj. It's not like she's
that's so
going to-
true. It's not
She
a
can do whatever she
strong
wants.
turt and a
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she could even go with Hallie for a girl, like Thea, Taj, and Hallie.
Hallie. Yeah, that's kind of in that vibe.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to this person here is saying they really love the name Dakota Faye, but they're for a girl. So Dakota.
Yeah.
Dakota.
That was on my baby name list when I was a teenager, Dakota.
And then Faye. But she's worried that no one else will love it. So what would be your advice be to, like, you know, we all love like names that are a little different.
It doesn't matter.
I would
go
even
with,
if
and Dakota Faye, that's beautiful.
It's so cute.
My middle name is Faye, just so you know. In case this is your sign
this
that
is
you
a sign.
need.
This is the sign.
My middle name is Faye, and one of my other soul sisters, our nanny, who's also my doula, her name is Sonia. Her middle name is Faye, and I'd never met anyone with the middle name Faye, and so I was like, oh my gosh, it's so crazy. But yeah, Dakota Faye, I think
it's really
such a cool name.
There's two out there.
No, it's
I don't think so. And also, like, here's the thing: your baby's gonna come, and even if people think the thought of like, God, why'd they pick that name? The baby will become that name. It just like grows into it, and then suddenly they can't think of anything.
They can't think that they're any other name.
Yeah.
That is just them. And isn't it interesting? Whenever the baby is born, they go, "Oh, there's such a Dakota." Like that is totally.
Yeah. I remember my friend's mum. She had her daughter, and the name was kind of one of those edgy, out there names.
Yeah.
And the mum was like, "Well, I'll just call it Polly. I'll call it Polly." And then my friend was like, that's not her name. That's not her name. Like, just please call her name. She was like, well, maybe Polly for me can be a nickname. And then, of course, now, like, years later, she's like, it's a perfect name. Like, the grandma loves the name now.
That is exactly that happened to a friend of mine as well, where it was like the kid's name was a far out there name. And so the grandmother was like, I'll just call them by their middle name, which is like a traditional name. But like
they're like, actually, I make the rules.
They were like the only person who did that. And they really tried, like
Yeah.
like over the top, like kept saying it, like slipping it in as the newborn, and everybody else would just like kind of, you almost like cringe a little, where you're just like, no, that's not
I remember
it.
with my first, I was like, one of the kind of requirements was like, I really want it to turn heads a little bit and for people to have to like be a little curious, like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
this is
What
not.
a cool
And
name.
so Taj back then was pretty different.
Yes,
Yeah.
so
He was nearly
different.
going to be 15. And yeah, that was like, we wanted that. So it's interesting that people are worried about that. And then on the other hand, like me, I'm like, I really wanted it to be like a one of a kind.
Yeah.
And he kind of has been most of his growing up.
Kids love having unique names. Like my
Yes,
kids
totally.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah, kids don't have a problem with unique names. It's mostly the adults and the generation above that go, oh gosh, like now. But if you go back and look at names from like 100 years ago, some of those names are out there, and a lot of the girly names are on the boy list and the opposite way around. So like, we're not inventing anything new here. We're just seeing more of it. Whereas back then you only knew names that you were around. So it was
Also,
a different.
I forgot to mention Summer. I love the name Summer.
Yes, you do love Summer.
I love that name. For a boy or a girl, it's so cool. It's such a good name. Summer,
My
I'm
best
putting
friend
it out
has
there.
a Rose and a Summer. They're her.
Oh, cute. I
Yeah,
love
I
that
know.
name,
Cute.
Summer.
So
It's
cute.
gorgeous.
All right, this is another one where they said the name is Rusty. They love the name Rusty. Rusty Brook. Is Rusty for a first name too much?
No.
I feel like we're the wrong people to ask, because we all just think, oh, that's so cool.
Rusty's cute. Dusty's cute. I love those names. Like, I just think that's
They're in the
so
same line
cute.
as Ziggy. Ziggy, Dusty.
Ziggy, that's that cool.
Yeah.
What did you call it again? Edgy. Cool, edgy.
Yeah. All right. Is there any more?
There's a vice principal at our school named Rusty, and he's so awesome. And I'm like,
my girl
you can be
Scout
anything, no matter what your name will carry you.
My Girl Scout guide, her name was Rusty Palmer. Her last name is Palmer, and her first name was Rusty. Rusty.
So
Palmer.
maybe this is the sign that they use Rusty.
Yeah,
I feel like it is.
Done.
Okay, last one here. Top contenders. So they're wanting a middle name to go with Lena, Lena.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they love Lena Ruby, Lena Violet, and Lena Daisy. And Ruby's my girl's middle name. We've already mentioned Violet and Daisy. So
I'm obsessed with the name Daisy.
Me too.
I love that.
So good.
So those are the top three
Lena
contenders.
Ruby.
So your votes. So I've got Lena Ruby, Lena Violet, and Lena Daisy.
Lena Violet.
You know, there's just I think you're gonna know when you see your baby, or like as you keep saying it, like write it down, look at it, say it, think about it, like meditate on it. But there's something really like charming and sweet about Lena Daisy. Like
I agree.
It has like a yummy, gives me like warm energy vibes when I hear it. And so
Lena Daisy.
I think
it's
that's
so cute. I love that name. Daisy's fantastic. Yeah, which is actually funny because Sarah and I, we call our listeners Daisies. But I love the name so much. It's so good. Daisy.
I love that.
We spell it different.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. Well, there is heaps, but I'm just going to leave it there with that, because we could probably go on forever.
I know, we really could. I keep having to stand up because I'm so pregnant. So I'm sorry.
Yes, I know. I'm like, oh no.
35 weeks pregnant at time of recording.
So pregnant right now. So
there was just one other question that they were asking, and you don't have to say it, but they just want to know if you've chosen a name.
I've chosen a first name, and I'm still like daydreaming on the second name.
Nice. Okay, there's your inside.
Yes.
We're not giving any hints.
No, I've chosen a first name-ish. I've got two names.
You've got two.
Pendulum
between two.
Yes.
But mine have to be gender neutral. Well, they don't have to be, but they are, because I don't know.
Yeah.
And I typically like gender neutral. The one that I'm choosing would be gender neutral.
Is gender neutral.
Yeah.
And you'll wait to meet your baby before you really fully decide. I know that Sarah, you're pretty much set, but Teresa, you've got a couple.
I don't know. I feel like I've always known before the baby comes.
Yeah.
First and second name. So I think
You've still got some
I'm
time.
only I'm 20, by the time this comes out, you know, I'll be like 24 weeks maybe.
Yeah.
So I've still got some time, but I know it's going to be one of these two names.
Yeah.
And I just, maybe it depends on the gender. Maybe when the baby comes out and it has a penis, it's one name. And if it has a vagina, it's the other name. So we'll see. I don't know.
You never know. You never know. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us. I love chatting names with you guys. I just feel like
It's so fun.
we could actually chat names for hours.
Yes.
But we have to end things.
Yes.
So thank you for joining us. I know my listeners will be loving it. And if you guys have any ideas for names, sure, send them through.
Yes.
You never know.
You never
But thank you so much.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for